Hello, and welcome to Real People, Real English. I'm Emma.
And I'm Henry. And I have to admit, Emma, I'm absolutely shattered. I've been chasing deadlines, answering emails, and I think my phone buzzed about 40 times during this introduction alone.
Poor Henry. You know what I did this morning? I sat by the window with a cup of tea and watched a pigeon sit on a chimney for 20 minutes.
20 minutes? Just watching a pigeon?
Just watching. The pigeon wasn't doing anything either. We were a pair of loafers, me and that bird. And honestly, it was the best part of my day.
But wasn't that a waste of time? I mean, we're always told to be busy, to be productive, to fill every moment with something useful.
That's exactly what we're going to question today. Because if you look at the natural world, really look, you'll see something fascinating. Away from the cameras, away from the dramatic chases and epic migrations, most animals spend an enormous amount of time doing absolutely nothing.
Nothing at all?
Nothing. Resting, dozing, staring into space. And if nature, after millions of years of evolution, thinks it's okay to switch off, maybe we should ask ourselves, why are we so afraid of doing nothing?
Well, I'm very good at doing nothing, Emma. I just feel guilty about it afterwards.
Then this program is for you. Today we're exploring the science, the surprises, and the secret benefits of laziness in animals and in us. And as always, we'll be learning some useful new vocabulary along the way.
But first, I believe you have a question for me.
I do. Now, we know some animals have perfected the art of lounging about. Lions can sleep up to 20 hours a day. But which animal holds the official title for being the slowest moving mammal on Earth? Is it A, the giant tortoise, B, the three-toed sloth, or C, the koala?
Well, koalas sleep a lot. Tortoises are famously slow. But I have a feeling the three-toed sloth is in a league of its own. I'll go with B, the three-toed sloth.
Okay, Henry, I'll give you the answer, slowly, of course, at the end of the program. Now, it's easy to look at a busy beehive or an ant nest and think, those creatures are the definition of hard work. They seem to have this perfectly organized little society. Everyone has a job, everyone works for the good of the group. It's the dream, isn't it, Henry?
Well, it's certainly what my boss dreams of.
I'm sure. But here's the twist. When scientists actually observe ant colonies closely, and I mean really closely, hour after hour, they find something remarkable. Around half the colony is inactive at any given moment.
Half? Just sitting there?
Motionless. Not sick, not injured, just resting. The researcher who spent a lot of time studying this is Professor Dan Charbonneau, an expert in insect behavior. He focuses on a species called the rock ant, Timnothorax rugatulus. He spoke about this on BBC Radio 4's program Nature Bang. Listen to what he noticed.
I think ants are a symbol of industriousness, you know? They have this whole tiny little society going on that's kind of similar to ours, some idealized version where if we could all pull together and work together, we could be as good as the ants. But then when you look at it, roughly about half the colony is inactive at any given time.
He uses a great word there, industriousness, the quality of being hardworking and diligent. We look at ants and we project this idea of perfect industry, but the reality is, half of them are just chilling out.
So why are they inactive? Are they just lazy ants? The slackers of the colony?
That's the big question. One theory is that these are reserve ants. They're waiting. If a disaster strikes, a predator, a flood, a disease, these resting workers suddenly activate. They step in with fresh energy. It's like having a backup team on the bench, fully rested and ready to go.
So they're not lazy, they're strategic.
Exactly. Another idea is even simpler. They don't work because, in that moment, they don't need to. The colony has enough food, The temperature is fine, the nest is secure. Why burn energy you don't need to burn? It's efficient. And there's a deep lesson there for us.
You know, Emma, it reminds me of my own mornings. My alarm goes off, and I think, do I really need to get up yet? Or is this just social pressure? Maybe the answer telling us to ask that question more often.
Maybe they are. And here's the really lovely part. If even ants, the most famous workers in nature, spend half their time doing nothing, then the idea of constant busyness isn't natural at all. It might, in fact, be completely overrated.
Okay, Emma. The ants have convinced me that inactivity isn't just laziness. It might even be useful for survival. But what about us? If I sat and stared at the wall for 20 minutes like your pigeon, wouldn't I just get bored?
You say bored like it's a bad word, but boredom might actually be one of the most creative and powerful states we can experience.
Really? Boredom? That restless, fidgety feeling of, I should be doing something.
Psychologist Dr. Sandy Mann has spent years studying boredom, and she argues it's a misunderstood emotion. Far from being empty and useless, boredom is a space. And in that space, our minds start to wander, to connect strange ideas, to ask, what if? She explained it beautifully on the same program, Nature Bang. What have humans invented? Bread? Or beer? Or fire? If we hadn't been bored and were wondering, what on earth would happen if we mixed this with this? All these sorts of inventions, the mother of boredom. But in this world of constant stimulation, switching off is harder than it's ever been. That's why we're constantly swiping and scrolling and looking for the next big thing. And we get bored of things very quickly. So it's a kind of paradox. To get rid of this unpleasant state of boredom is actually to allow more boredom into your life.
Wow, she flipped it. Boredom isn't the enemy, it's the mother of invention.
Exactly. She's playing on the old proverb, necessity is the mother of invention. That means if you really need something, you'll find a way to make it. But Dr. Mann is saying that boredom is also a mother, a creative parent. When we're not being fed information by a screen, our mind has to feed itself. That's where the strange, wonderful ideas come from.
I've actually experienced that. Some of my best ideas come to me in the shower. I have nothing to look at, nothing to read, just water sounds and a blank wall. My brain just drifts, and suddenly, a problem I was stuck on becomes clear.
The shower is a classic boredom space. No notifications, no input, just you and your thoughts wandering. There's a word for that state, by the way, mind wandering. And neuroscientists have found it's absolutely essential for creativity.
But it's hard, isn't it, Emma, to let ourselves be bored? I feel this itch. My hand automatically reaches for my phone.
You're not alone. Dr. Mann mentioned that modern problem of constant stimulation, the endless scrolling, swiping, looking for the next dopamine hit. We've created an environment where switching off is harder than ever. And switching off in this context means stopping worrying or thinking about things, just letting the mental engine idle.
It feels almost countercultural, like an act of rebellion.
It is. And the paradox, that beautiful contradiction, is that we try so hard to escape boredom, but the only way to truly stop feeling that restless discomfort is to actually let boredom happen, to sit in it, to allow more of it into our lives. It's like we have to befriend the monster, and then it turns out not to be a monster at all. Just a quiet, slightly uncomfortable friend who brings us gifts if we're patient.
You know, Emma, this conversation is making me think about my cat, Jasper. He can stare at a curtain gently moving in the breeze for 15 minutes. He's not unhappy. He's not unstimulated in a bad way. He's just completely absorbed in a simple moment.
Jasper is a master of life, Henry. He's not lazy. He's operating on a different rhythm. And that's the third gift animals give us, a permission to slow down. We've talked about strategic rest, like the ants. We've talked about creative boredom. But the third gift is just presence. The ability to be still without a purpose.
Without a purpose. That feels radical.
It is. In a world that says your value is linked to your output, choosing to just be is powerful. The three-toed sloth doesn't produce anything. It doesn't hustle. It moves so slowly that algae grows on its fur. And yet it has survived on this planet for millions of years.
The algae is actually a pretty clever camouflage. So even the laziness has a hidden benefit.
Exactly. Nature always finds a way. But the deeper point is this. We are animals too. We have inherited the same wiring that tells us to conserve energy, to rest, to pause. But we've overlaid it with this complex culture of busy is better. We've forgotten how to simply sit.
So what would your advice be, Emma? For someone like me, who feels guilty every time I stop.
I'd suggest starting small. Microdoses of nothing. Next time you're waiting for the kettle to boil, don't pick up your phone. Just stand there. Watch the steam. Listen to the bubbling sound. That's it. 1 minute of kicking back, fully.
Kicking back. To stop doing things and relax completely.
Precisely. And when you're on the bus or the train, let your mind wander without putting in headphones for 5 minutes. Just look out the window and let your thoughts run like a film. You might feel restless at first, but that's just the withdrawal from constant stimulation. Push through it.
It's like a muscle we have to retrain. The doing nothing muscle.
It absolutely is. And the more you practice, the more you'll notice something. The world doesn't fall apart when you stop. In fact, you often return to your work sharper, kinder, and more creative.
I had a moment recently where I was stuck on a script. Actually, it was about this very topic. I was forcing it, stressing, and getting nowhere. So I just gave up. I went and lay on my sofa and stared at the ceiling. 5 minutes later, the whole structure just appeared in my head, fully formed. I didn't do it, it just arrived.
You switched off, and your brain got to work in the background. That's the gift. And now I think it's time for me to reveal the answer to my question. Are you ready?
I've been waiting for ages, Emma. Very patiently.
You've been doing nothing?
I've been strategically resting.
Perfect. So I asked, what is the slowest moving mammal on Earth? Was it the giant tortoise, the three-toed sloth, or the koala? You guessed the three-toed sloth. And you were absolutely right, Henry.
Yes!
The three-toed sloth moves at a top speed of about 30 centimeters per minute on the ground. They are so slow that algae actually grows on their coats, which helps them blend into the trees. Being slow is their entire survival strategy. There's something quite beautiful about that.
I feel a strange kinship with the sloth now. A role model, really.
We could all do with a bit more sloth energy in our lives.
Okay, Emma. We've covered a lot of ground today, from lazy ants to creative boredom to sloth philosophy. Let's help our listeners and recap the vocabulary we've explored. Can you guide us through?
Of course, Henry. The first phrase was kicking back, to stop doing things and relax completely. After a long week, I love just kicking back with a film.
Kicking back. Next, we heard the adjective industrious, hardworking and diligent. The ants have a reputation for being industrious, but the truth is more complicated.
We also heard the word colony, a group of certain animals that live together, like ants, bees, or seabirds. The ant colony operates as a superorganism.
Then we discussed the word productive, being able to produce a lot for the amount of resources you use. I feel guilty if I'm not being productive every minute.
And we reframed a famous proverb. The original is, necessity is the mother of invention, meaning if you truly need something, you'll find a creative way to get it. But Dr. Mann gave us a beautiful twist. Boredom is the mother of invention.
And finally, the phrase to switch off. It means to stop worrying, to stop actively thinking, and to relax. It's hard to switch off when your phone keeps buzzing.
That's our vocabulary for today. I hope it gives our listeners permission to switch off themselves.
You know, Emma, I came into this program feeling guilty about resting. I'm leaving it feeling like I've been given a prescription.
A prescription for nothing.
Exactly. The one prescription that costs nothing, has no side effects, and is approved by ants and sloths worldwide.
Nature's wisdom, right there. So, listener, our challenge to you is simple. At some point today, take 2 minutes. Don't check your phone, don't turn on music, don't talk. Just sit and see what arrives.
And if what arrives is just quiet, that's fine too. That's more than fine. It's a tiny rebellion against the cult of busy.
A tiny, beautiful rebellion. Well, our extended 6 minutes, and then some, are up. It really is time to do nothing now.
Go on, kick back. You have our full permission. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.